The silver transport ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its smooth hull reflecting the morning sunlight. Inside, Nari gripped her seat as the vessel shuddered. This was her first journey away from the Azurian homeworld, and despite years of training, nothing had prepared her for the actual sensation of entering an alien planet's atmosphere. "Final approach to International Science Research Center," announced the pilot. "All passengers secure belongings." Nari checked her environmental monitoring device one last time. The small crystal embedded in her wrist pulsed with a soft blue light, indicating Earth's atmosphere would be tolerable, if not entirely comfortable. As the youngest xenobiologist ever selected for the exchange program, she couldn't afford any mistakes. The ship landed with a gentle thud. Nari gathered her few possessions and moved toward the exit with the 4 other Azurians. Their crystalline skin caught the light, sending tiny rainbows dancing across the ship's interior. Unlike humans with their solid coloring, Azurian skin was translucent and refractive, changing hues with their emotions and health status. "Remember the protocols," said senior researcher Doe, their team leader. "No physical contact with humans. No consumption of Earth substances. Maintain environment suits in public spaces." The door hissed open, revealing a small welcome committee of humans waiting on the landing pad. Nari felt her skin flush with purple excitement, immediately focusing her emotions to return to a more professional clear blue. This was it, real humans, not just images and study materials. Director Kim stepped forward, a distinguished human with streaks of gray in his black hair. He performed the Azurian greeting gesture perfectly, hands placed palm to palm, and a slight bow. "Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your presence and look forward to sharing knowledge between our species." Nari and her colleagues returned the gesture. She noticed how different humans looked up close. Their varied features, the wrinkles around Director Kim's eyes, the different hair colors and skin tones among the welcoming group. The databases hadn't captured this wonderful diversity. The group was led inside the research center, a sprawling complex of interconnected buildings. Nari observed everything with scientific curiosity. The plants decorating the hallways, the peculiar smell of human environments, the way temperature changed between rooms. "These will be your private quarters," said a young human researcher named Tai, showing Nari to her room. "We've adjusted the atmospheric composition to be more comfortable for Azurian physiology." Nari stepped inside and felt immediate relief as her lungs expanded more easily in the modified air. "Thank you. This is most considerate. If you need anything, just use the communication panel by the door," Tai explained. "Tomorrow morning, I'll show you our laboratories and introduce you to the research team." After Tai left, Nari carefully unpacked her analysis equipment. She placed her most treasured possession on the desk, a small crystal from her family's ancestral cave, a reminder of home. Then she activated her environmental scanner to analyze her new surroundings. The readings were fascinating. Earth's atmosphere contained elements barely present on her homeworld. No wonder her species found extended stays on Earth so challenging. The slightly higher nitrogen content alone would dull Azurian senses and slow their thought processes over time. That evening, the Azurian team met for their first Earth meal in a private dining area. The nutrition packs, specially formulated for their biology, tasted bland but familiar. Through a large window, they could observe humans eating their own food in the main cafeteria. "They consume such variety," noted Nari, watching humans with different dishes, and together in large groups. "Their digestive systems are remarkably adaptive," said Doe. "Our research here may help us understand how to broaden our own limited tolerances." Nari noticed one human drink in particular that seemed especially popular, a dark liquid in small cups the humans often held while conversing. She made a mental note to ask about it later. That night, lying in her bed, Nari felt the subtle wrongness of Earth pressing against her senses. The gravity was slightly stronger, making her limbs feel heavy. The sounds were different. the hum of electronic systems rather than the crystalline resonance of Azurian buildings. Yet despite the discomfort, excitement kept her awake. Tomorrow she would begin her real work. 6 months on this strange planet, studying alongside the fascinating humans. 6 months to learn, discover, and perhaps even make history with new scientific breakthroughs. Little did she know how soon that opportunity would come, or that it would begin with something as simple as a human drink. The laboratory hummed with quiet activity as Neri peered into her microscope. 3 weeks had passed since her arrival on Earth, and she was finally adjusting to the research center's routines. The slight dizziness and sensory dulling that all Azurians experienced on Earth remained, but she had learned to compensate. Finding anything interesting? Tai asked, rolling his chair closer to her workstation. Neri looked up, her skin briefly flashing a pleased pink before returning to its professional blue. Yes, the cellular adaptation rate in Earth organisms is remarkable. Plants here change faster than anything on my world. Ta nodded, making notes on his tablet. Over the weeks, they had developed an easy working relationship. While the other Azurians mostly kept to themselves, Neri found herself drawn to human interactions, especially with Ta. He explained Earth customs with patience and never seemed bothered by her questions. "I've been wondering," said Ta, "how much of our culture have you been able to experience?" "You're always in the lab." "Our briefings covered basic human cultural patterns," Neri replied. "Though I admit observation differs from experience." Ta smiled. "There's a small gathering tonight. The research center's 5th anniversary. Nothing big, just food, drinks, maybe some music. Would you like to come?" "For cultural research, of course." Nari hesitated. Social events weren't forbidden, but senior researcher Doe had emphasized caution around large human groups. Still, scientific curiosity won out. "I would find that valuable," she said. "For research purposes." That evening, Neri spent extra time preparing. She adjusted her environmental suit to its thinnest setting, still safe but less visibly alien. She also activated the subtle illumination circuits in her skin, allowing the natural crystalline patterns of Azurian physiology to show through. Humans seemed to find the effect beautiful, and tonight was about positive cultural exchange. The gathering took place in the research center's atrium, where plants from both Earth and alien worlds grew together under a glass dome. About 15 people stood in small groups, talking and laughing. Soft music played from hidden speakers. "You came." Ta greeted her, his face showing the expression humans called a smile. "Let me introduce you around." For the next hour, Neri observed human social behavior with fascination. They stood closer together than Azurians would, occasionally touching arms or shoulders. They laughed often and spoke about topics unrelated to work. Most interestingly, they consumed various foods and drinks while socializing. One dark liquid in particular caught her attention. Nearly everyone held clear containers of it, and it seemed central to the gathering. "What is that drink?" Neri asked when she and Tai found a quiet moment. "This. Cold brewed coffee," Ta said, holding up his glass. "Probably the most important substance in scientific research history. It keeps us awake during late experiments." "It contains stimulants?" Nari asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Caffeine, mainly. Want to analyze some? I know you can't drink it, but maybe it's interesting chemically." Ta brought her a small sample in a clear container. Nari retrieved her portable analyzer from her pocket and scanned the liquid. The results made her skin flash with surprised yellow. "This is remarkable," she said, studying the readout. "These compounds are structurally similar to Vitha extract from my homeworld, a medicinal plant we use for mental clarity during important ceremonies." "Really? That's fascinating," Ta said. "Convergent evolution across planets." As Tai turned to greet a colleague, Nari stared at the coffee. The chemical similarities were striking. On her world, Vitha was used to counter the effects of sensory overload. Could coffee perhaps address the sensory dampening Azurians experienced on Earth? She glanced around. No one was watching. The protocols were clear, no human consumables, but this was a unique research opportunity. Just a drop would be enough for basic analysis. Carefully, Neri dipped her finger into the liquid and touched it to her tongue, expecting the bitter taste described in the files. What she didn't expect was the immediate effect. Like a fog lifting, her senses sharpened. Colors brightened. Sounds became clearer. The perpetual heaviness in her limbs vanished. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt fully herself. "Nari, are you okay?" Ta had returned, looking concerned. "Your skin is doing something I haven't seen before." Nari realized her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, the Azurian equivalent of wide-eyed shock. She forced her coloration to stabilize. "I'm fine," she said, though her mind raced with implications. The music just changed to a particularly interesting pattern. Ta looked skeptical, but didn't press. As the gathering continued, Nari carefully observed her own reactions. The effect was temporary but undeniable. This accidental discovery could change everything about Azurian-human relations. The only question was whether to report it, or to investigate further on her own first. The next morning, Neri woke earlier than usual. The effects of the coffee had faded, but the memory remained vivid. She had experienced Earth with full clarity for the first time. The colors, sounds, even the subtle vibrations of the building systems, everything had been sharper, more present. She needed to understand exactly what had happened. As the research center slowly came to life around her, Neri slipped into her laboratory. No one would question her early arrival. She had already gained a reputation for dedication. Using her personal equipment rather than the lab's shared systems, she began analyzing the sample of coffee she had secretly kept. The chemical composition was complex. The caffeine was only part of what made it interesting. There were other compounds, antioxidants, acids, and trace minerals, that together created something remarkably similar to Vitha extract from her homeworld. "Is this a cultural study I'm unaware of?" Senior researcher Do asked, suddenly appearing behind her. Nari's skin flashed alarmed orange before she could control it. "Senior Do, good morning. I was just examining the human beverage. For cultural understanding." Do looked skeptical. "Remember protocols, junior researcher. Observation only, no consumption." "Of course," Neri said, but after Do left, she returned to her analysis with even greater determination. By midday, she had developed a theory. Earth's atmospheric composition, specifically its higher nitrogen content, affected Azurian neural pathways in ways that dampened sensory input. This was why her people found extended Earth stays so difficult. But certain compounds in coffee seemed to temporarily counteract this effect. She needed more data. More importantly, she needed to test her theory again. During the lunch break, Nari found Ta in the cafeteria. "Would you explain more about coffee?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "It seems central to human research practices." Ta laughed. "That's putting it mildly. Want to see how we make it?" He led her to a small kitchen area where researchers prepared their own drinks. Ta showed her the coffee maker, explaining how hot water filtered through ground beans. "Different beans have different flavors," he said. "Some stronger, some milder. And the effects vary as well." Nari asked. "Somewhat. Stronger coffee has more caffeine, which gives more energy but can make humans jittery." Ta prepared a fresh cup. "Some people are more sensitive than others." When Tai was called away by another researcher, Nari seized her opportunity. She collected a small sample of the fresh coffee and hurried back to her lab. This time, she prepared a more controlled experiment. Using a medical scanner designed for Azurian physiology, she took baseline readings of her neural activity. Then, carefully, she placed just 3 drops of coffee on her tongue. The effect came more quickly this time. Her neural scanner recorded everything: increased synaptic activity, enhanced sensory processing, improved cellular energy production. Most importantly, the brain patterns matched exactly what would be considered normal on her homeworld. The coffee wasn't stimulating her beyond normal parameters. It was restoring her to her natural state by counteracting Earth's atmospheric effects. This discovery could change everything. If Azurians could function normally on Earth, longer missions would be possible. Cultural and scientific exchange could expand dramatically. Nari was so absorbed in her findings that she didn't notice Tai enter the lab until he spoke. "Nari, what are you working on that's so fascinating?" She jumped, accidentally knocking over the container of coffee. The dark liquid spilled across her hand, absorbing through her semi-permeable skin much more quickly than the few drops she had tested. For a moment, Nari froze, expecting adverse reactions. Instead, clarity washed over her with unprecedented intensity. Every sense sharpened beyond what she had experienced before. She could hear conversations 3 rooms away, detect the subtle electrical currents running through the lab's walls, even sense the distinct biochemical signatures of different humans in the building. "Are you okay?" Tai asked, noticing her stillness. "Your skin is doing that color-changing thing again." "I'm fine," Nari said, though her voice sounded strange even to herself. More melodic, the way Azurians spoke on their homeworld. "Actually, I'm better than fine. I've made a discovery." Without planning to, she found herself explaining everything. Her first taste of coffee of the gathering, her secret analysis, and now this accidental larger exposure. "The coffee compensates for the neural suppression Earth's atmosphere causes in my species," she concluded. "For the first time since arriving, I'm experiencing your world as I experience my own." Tai's expression changed from concern to amazement. "That's incredible, but won't you get in trouble for breaking protocols?" "Possibly," Nari admitted, her skin now pulsing with determined purple. "But this discovery is too important to ignore. We need to document everything properly before reporting it." What had begun as simple curiosity was now the most significant xenobiological finding in the exchange program's history. And it had started with nothing more than a human drink. Word of Nari's discovery spread quickly through the research center. By the following morning, most of the human scientists knew that coffee had unexpected effects on Azurian physiology. What began as scientific excitement soon turned complicated. Nari arrived at the main laboratory to find Director Kim waiting for her, his expression serious. Beside him stood Senior Researcher Do, whose skin pulsed with the deep red of Azurian disapproval. "Junior Researcher Nari," Do said formally, "you have violated primary safety protocols by consuming human substances." Nari's skin flickered nervously between blue and green. "I can explain the scientific significance." "The Azurian embassy has been informed," Director Kim interrupted gently. "They're sending a delegation this morning." Tai entered the room, carrying a datapad. "I've compiled all our findings about the coffee effect," he said, then noticed the tension. "Is everything okay?" "Specialist Nari is being recalled to the embassy," Do stated. "The exchange program may be terminated due to this breach." "Terminated?" Ta looked shocked. "But this is a breakthrough. The coffee compounds allow Azurians to function normally in our atmosphere." Director Kim sighed. "The Azurian government is concerned about unpredictable reactions. They view this as a possible health risk, or worse, an intoxicant." "It's not an intoxicant," Nari protested. "It restores our natural function." The data is clear. Their argument was interrupted by the arrival of 3 Azurian officials. Leading them was Delegate Jun, the highest-ranking Azurian on Earth. His formal robes and completely colorless skin indicated his important position. "Junior Researcher Nari," Jun addressed her without greeting. "You have created a diplomatic incident by consuming human substances without authorization. Your actions suggest Earth compounds may cause behavioral changes in our people." Nari stood straighter. "With respect, Delegate, the behavioral change is a correction, not an alteration. The coffee compounds counteract the neural suppression caused by Earth's atmosphere." Jun's skin remained colorless, revealing nothing of his thoughts. "The embassy cannot risk diplomatic incidents. If our people begin consuming human substances and showing altered behaviors, humans may perceive us as unstable or unreliable. Director Kim stepped forward. Delegate Jun, we understand your concerns, but perhaps we should view this as a scientific opportunity rather than a protocol breach. Science must follow proper procedures, Jun replied. Had Specialist Neri submitted a formal proposal for controlled testing, this situation would be different. Ta suddenly spoke up. In human science, many discoveries happen accidentally. Fleming discovered penicillin because of a contaminated experiment. Sometimes the most important findings come from unexpected observations. The room fell silent. Jun's skin flickered briefly with a hint of curious yellow before returning to diplomatic white. The data, Neri said quietly, transferring her findings to the delegate's pad. Please review it before making your decision. As Jun read, his skin gradually shifted to thoughtful blue. The neural scans clearly showed that coffee didn't create abnormal patterns in Azurian brains. It restored normal patterns that Earth's atmosphere suppressed. This is significant, Jun finally admitted, but it doesn't excuse bypassing protocols. No, it doesn't, Neri agreed. I accept responsibility for my actions, but please don't punish the entire exchange program. This discovery could remove the greatest barrier between our species, our inability to function at full capacity in each other's environments. Jun conferred quietly with the other officials. Their skin colors shifted through various hues as they debated. Finally, he turned back to the group. Junior researcher Neri will receive a formal reprimand, he announced. We recognize the potential value of this discovery. We will establish a properly supervised research protocol to investigate these effects further. Relief washed through Neri, her skin brightening to a happy pink before she could control it. There are conditions, Jun continued. All testing will follow strict guidelines. No unauthorized consumption of human substances, and the findings must be shared equally between our species. Of course, Director Kim agreed quickly. After the delegation left, Tai approached Neri. That was close. I thought they might send you home. They still might, Neri admitted, but at least the research will continue. I'm sorry for getting you in trouble, Ta said. I shouldn't have shown you the coffee. Neri's skin rippled with genuine amusement. In Azurian culture, we have a saying, knowledge worth having rarely comes without cost. This knowledge is definitely worth a reprimand. What had begun as a misunderstanding was becoming something much more important, a potential breakthrough in human-Azurian relations. And despite the formal reprimand waiting for her, Neri couldn't help feeling that her accidental discovery might change history for both their worlds. 2 months passed in a whirlwind of carefully controlled experiments. What began as Neri's accidental discovery had grown into the research center's most important project. The lab had been expanded, new equipment installed, and additional scientists brought in from both Earth and the Azurian homeworld. Neri stood before a holographic display, reviewing the latest test results with Ta. Her formal reprimand had been noted in her record, but she remained the project's lead researcher alongside Ta. The isolated compounds are stable, Ta said, pointing to a molecular model floating between them. We've identified the 7 key components from coffee that affect Azurian neural pathways. Neri nodded, her skin glowing with professional satisfaction. And we've removed the caffeine entirely. The new formula provides neural clarity without any stimulant effects. What they now called adaptation compound AC7 had moved beyond coffee. The team had isolated the specific molecules that counteracted the effects of Earth's atmosphere on Azurian physiology, then synthesized a more stable, longer-lasting version. The lab door slid open as Director Kim entered with Delegate Jun. Both looked pleased. The Joint Committee has reviewed your progress, Director Kim announced. They've approved the next phase of testing. Jun's skin showed the deep blue of formal approval. 20 Azurian volunteers will arrive next week to begin extended trials. If successful, this could change everything about our presence on Earth. After the officials left, Nari and Ta continued working, their movements synchronized after months of collaboration. They had become more than colleagues. They were friends who understood each other across the divide of their different species. "I still can't believe we got here because you broke the rules," Ta said with a smile. Nari's skin flickered with amusement. Sometimes rules need to be questioned. That's how science advances. The volunteer trial exceeded all expectations. Azurians taking the AC-7 compound maintained full sensory capacity and normal energy levels for extended periods in Earth's atmosphere. Their cognitive tests matched baseline scores from their homeworld. Most importantly, they reported feeling comfortable on Earth for the first time. 6 weeks later, Nari and Tai stood before the Joint Scientific Council, 12 leaders from both species who would determine the future of their work. The grand meeting hall in the embassy was filled with officials, scientists, and media representatives. AC-7 represents more than just a comfort enhancement, Nari explained, her voice steady despite her nervousness. With proper neural function restored, Azurians can detect environmental factors our equipment sometimes misses. During trials, participants identified radiation leaks and molecular anomalies before instruments registered them. Ta continued, "This has practical applications beyond science. Azurian sensory abilities, when not suppressed by our atmosphere, could revolutionize environmental monitoring, medical diagnostics, and security operations." The council members asked detailed questions, which Nari and Tai answered with confidence backed by months of careful research. Finally, the head counselor spoke. "Based on your findings, we are approving full implementation of the Adaptation Compound Program. This discovery will become the foundation of expanded cooperation between our species." That evening, the research team gathered for a celebration. Humans sipped coffee or wine, while the Azurians took small measured doses of AC-7 in water. For the first time, both species could fully enjoy each other's company without barriers. Director Kim raised his glass to unexpected discoveries and to breaking rules when necessary, added Delegate Jun, surprising everyone with this uncharacteristic statement. His skin flashed briefly with humor before returning to its formal white. Later, Nari and Tai stepped outside onto the research center's observation deck. The night sky above was filled with stars, many of which hosted worlds humans and Azurians had yet to explore together. "Have you thought about what comes next?" Tai asked. "After the program is fully implemented." Nari's skin rippled with thoughtful blue. "The exchange program is being expanded tenfold. They've asked me to help train the new Azurian scientists coming to Earth." "You'll be perfect for that," Ta said. "No one understands both sides better than you." Nari looked up at the stars. "When I first arrived, I felt constantly disconnected from everything around me, like I was experiencing Earth through a fog. Now I can truly see your world and help others see it too." "All because you were curious enough to try coffee," Ta said with a smile. "All because you were kind enough to share it," Nari replied, her skin glowing with the warm pink of friendship. Above them, a transport ship carrying the next group of Azurian researchers descended through the atmosphere. They would arrive to a very different experience than Nari had, one where they could fully appreciate Earth from their first day, thanks to a simple human drink and the scientific curiosity it had inspired. The greatest barriers between species, Nari had learned, weren't always physical. Sometimes they were simply matters of perception, waiting for someone to see things differently.